Hello, hello. It is Tracy from Launch Tech Made Easy. I hope you're having a great day today. It's a beautiful spring day where I'm at, so I'm hoping that the snow is finally over wherever you are, because I know it's been a brutal spring for a lot of parts of the country. Forgot to take the dog's collar off. Sorry about that. I hope you're having a great day. I am Tracy from Launch Tech Made Easy. As I said before, LaunchTechMadeEasy.com. And today we're going to be talking about split testing. Now, if you aren't familiar, split testing is a way to be able to test two different versions of the same thing to find out which one performs better. Does that sound confusing? Let me explain a little bit. First of all, the good news is this whole testing process is completely automated. You do not have to figure any of this out on your own. So here's the idea. Let's say you have an email going out to your entire email list and you just can't decide between two different subject lines. Do you go mysterious and try to rouse people's curiosity, or do you go funny and try to get them to open just to see kind of, where on earth your email is going to go? With an A/B split test, you can send the same email out and find out which subject line is going to be most popular. So the content of the email is exactly the same in both, but one has one subject line and maybe it's the mysterious subject line, and the other one has the funny subject line, okay? So you write the email, and then in your email service provider, you select A/B split test. It should be an option on whichever email service provider you're using. And there might be some other options there as well, but the only ones we're going to focus on today are subject lines or even split testing the email itself. Okay, so those are the two most basic A/B split tests that you can do with email. So in this case, in our subject line case, you're going to run a test to see which of the two email subject lines does better before that email goes out to your entire list. So the way this works is usually the email service provider will, let's say for round numbers, we're going to use 100 people. Now 100 people on your list is probably a little bit small to get a good statistical sampling, but I don't like to do math, and 100 people is easy. So if you're running an A/B split test on a subject line and your list is 100 people long, what your email service provider will do is it will send out subject line A to 10 people on your list. And then it will send out subject line B to another 10 people on your list. And then it will give it, usually it's like an hour. And at the end of that hour, whoever opens or clicks through more, whether it's subject line A or subject line B, the email service provider declares a winner and sends out to the other 80 people on the list, whichever subject line had a better response. Okay, so you can, and it's not always an hour. Some people set it up so that it's 3 hours or a day. It depends on how big your list is, what kind of promotion you're running, and whether you're just sort of, testing the waters on this email, or whether this is a really, really important email that you want to make sure that people are going to open and click through and look at. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to have to let your email service provider know what you consider a win. So so when it's deciding which of the subject lines is winning, do you want it to decide that based on who clicks or who opens? Okay, I personally never choose open rates when I'm trying to decide the winner between two subject lines. I always choose open click rates, and the reason for that is because we've talked about this many times here before. There are so many different ways to determine if someone opens an email or not. And in a lot of cases, the email service providers, Gmail or Yahoo or whatever you're looking at your email in, you might not register. It may not register as an open rate, okay, as being opened. So it won't register that someone opened your email, so then it wouldn't win, even though they maybe did open it and even clicked through. So because what we ultimately want is for people to be interacting with us and clicking, I will always choose click rates to determine if something, which A/B split test was the winner, okay? Because honestly, if they're not clicking through, then what's the point? I don't really so much care if they open it if they don't actually take action. So, okay, so the other things that you can test in an email are whether or not you get more clicks if you put an additional link up towards the top of the email. Like sometimes, you know, you'll have your link down here. What happens if you put it up here? What if you put 2 links in an email? Do you get more clicks on one versus the other? So you can split test that. Does a graphic in the email get more people to click through? And in some cases, people will be able to see that graphic in their email preview screen, and in some cases they won't. So that might affect your click-through rates, but at the same time, that's good to know, right? It might give you useful data into the email habits of the people that you're sending your emails to. If you make one email really, really short, and then put a link on there and send them to a video or a blog, does that get more clicks than if you put all of the content in the email itself? The important thing is there are a lot of things you can test with A/B split testing, but you never want to test more than one thing at a time, okay? So that is an email A/B split test. Now, there are other things you can split test as well. Landing pages are another popular candidate for split testing. If you're wondering, should I go with the blue or should I go with the white background? You can set that up for a split test. Now, this time you set the split test up in your landing page service, and then it keeps track and it sends out the landing pages. It alternates which landing page it's sending out as people opt in. And then from there, you can see which one converts to more people pushing that ever important button on the landing page to either buy now or get the free checklist or whatever it is you're offering. So it's handled on your landing page service. And you can test colors, graphics, headlines, layouts. Just about anything on a landing page can be tested this way, but once again, you only want to test one thing at a time. Okay, so don't use 2 different colored backgrounds and then also use 2 different colored headlines. Okay, if it's an opt-in that you've been running for a long time, maybe you swap out the background and you let it run for a few months, and then after you've decided which one is a better color background, then maybe you do swap out the headline. Okay, Facebook ads. Facebook's ads are another area where testing is really, really common. Does long copy work better than short copy? Does a photograph work better than an illustration or a vector image? Does your audience prefer happy, cheerful people, or does it prefer people who look like they're frustrated and you're going to solve their pain? Okay, do they want an image that makes them like sit up and take notice? So testing ads is a little bit different. That you set up in your Facebook Ads Manager. And there's whole trainings about Facebook ads that I don't need to go into here. But the one thing to know about testing ads is if you do go with a happy, positive ad, you want that ad to go to a happy, positive landing page. If you're testing an ad that hits more on a pain point versus an ad that is a happy image, you want the pain point image to go to a pain point landing page. Okay, so that gets a little bit more complicated, but you do need to keep your consistency. So, you know, you don't want to test out too many, like if you're testing out a happy positive ad and a painful ad, and the happy positive ad goes to a painful landing page, people are going to get very confused by that. So stick with all the consistency things that we've always talked about. So those are some testing options. The key to having a successful test is to only choose one variable at a time to change and to be testing. If you remember back to high school chemistry class, like that was totally drilled into us, right? Test one thing at a time so that you can see what the variable is and what people are reacting to. As I mentioned, you also need to have a big enough list for the sample to be statistically relevant. So smaller lists are going to have less accurate tests. In fact, some email services have a minimal list size for A/B split testing. So you may not be able to split test if you only have a few people or do a formal split test, but you can kind of do an informal split test on your own until your list gets big enough by serving up different versions of the same landing page or the same Facebook ad. So there you go. Now when you ask someone in your favorite Facebook group or in a course whether you should use A or B, and they say, I don't know, you're going to have to test that. Now you know exactly what they mean and how to go ahead and do it. So that's it for today. Make sure to join me next week when we're going to be talking about how to watch what other people are doing and learn from them in the online space. So if you have questions about split testing, or if you have a question to submit for next week's live here on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, go ahead and pop that in right below this video, and I'll be sure to get your questions answered for you. As always, you can reach me at Tracy@LaunchTechMadeEasy.com. Bye-bye.